This is Dale Kelly, Dragon Ball's OG narrator. Previously, on Final Forum, Jelli and Bekinney debated who would win in a hypothetical tournament featuring all of the Z fighters and more. It's the final episode of March Madness, where your host will ultimately decide on a victor. Will it be a Saiyan, a villain, a human, or a deity? Only one thing is for certain. There can only be one winner today on Final Forum.
It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelli, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time. And I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney. Join us as we uncover the cultural inspirations and hidden history behind Akira Toriyama's seminal franchise.
This is our annual Tenkaichi tournament, which we do in March every year. We take advantage of the Earth tradition of March Madness, and we pit the characters of Dragon Ball. We randomly picked 64 of them, split them into 4 brackets that make sense, I think, and we pit them against each other, not in tournaments of fighting prowess. What if we had these characters face off in different sorts of competitions? You decide who you think would win, who you want to win, and if you think those are two different things, we do a tiebreaker. So this year, Final Forum brings to you who would win in a trivia battle. Out of the round of 64 and into the round of 32, where I don't remember what we do at this point now, because we're starting kind of the bracket over.
I think the way we did it is we do the same sections, but we reverse who gets the first pick, if I remember correctly.
I think that's correct.
So that would put us back up in the Saiyan bracket.
Yes.
Correct? And that would leave me with the first match, which would be number 16 Tarble versus number 8 Kale. We've kind of went through like all their backgrounds and stuff earlier, so I'm just gonna do it real quick. I think I want Tarble to win. I kind of like Tarble a little bit better than Kale. Nothing against Kale. I just like Tarble a little better.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think Tarble would actually win.
Okay.
So I'm going to move Tarble on.
All right. I have number 5 Future Trunks versus number 13 Goten. I want Future Trunks, and I also think he would. Goten is not a very bright boy. He is.
I mean, you know. Yeah, I mean, he takes after his father.
Yes.
And looks as well as mental capacity.
He is not like his older brother.
Very true.
So I'm going to just move Future Trunks on to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of Goten's older brother, next up we've got number 11 Bardock versus number 3 Gohan. I don't think there needs to be much explanation here. I think Gohan sweeps this pretty hard.
Okay. Moving on to, we have number 7 Caulifla versus number 2 Vegeta. And this is where I want Vegeta to win. Obviously, I'm thrilled that he has made it this far. And who do I think would win? Okay. I think they have a very similar kind of base of knowledge. Similar kinds of personalities. And like they have similar kinds of personalities in terms of the things that they care about learning about.
Sure.
But Vegeta has significantly more experience than Caulifla, so I'm moving Vegeta onto the Sweet 16.
All right. I mean, that's pretty solid argument from my standpoint.
Wow. I had Paragus there, by the way.
I think he'd also be pretty pleased with this, especially with Goku being taken out in the first round by his little brother.
Oh, yeah. He would be talking so much smack. His future son and him.
It's all right, though, because he's not clear in the next round.
And his brother.
I mean, yeah, no, he'd probably...
Vegeta would be talking so much smack.
True. Very true. Although, let's be real. In Trunks' case, Bulma's lineage is probably doing most of the heavy lifting there.
Yeah. So then, going into the human brackets, I have
right.
number 1 Krillin versus number 8 Bulma. I want Krillin because he's my favorite character. But I believe Bulma would win. She's Bulma.
Yep.
So that takes me to a tiebreaker, which I'm gonna go with this one.
You're gonna have to roll the dice because it'd have to be a very specific categories for Krillin to get to win on this one.
It's the continent. I don't know if that applies to Dragon Ball.
I think it probably does in some way.
Yeah, so Bulma's gonna win that. It would have to have been like Kung Fu tournaments.
Or like maybe like police tactics or something.
Yeah, or you know, how bald guys can land hot blondes.
How to wax a bald head.
So, of the 7, this continent has the world's longest total coastline, over 96,000 miles.
I'm going to go with Asia.
What is North America?
Damn, I was way off. All right, well, moving on. I've got number 5 seed Android 17 versus number 13 Mr. Satan, which, by the way, I love that Mr. Satan's 13 seed. It's just, love it. Who do I want to win? I want Mr. Satan to win. Who doesn't? Hail Satan. Who do I think would actually win? This is one of those ones where, for me, this is kind of a toss-up. Because like you've been saying, Mr. Satan's pretty experienced as far as like Dragon Ball lore is concerned.
Yeah.
And Android 17 kind of just took off to go watch wild animals for a while. So I think it's going to come down to a tiebreaker, and I think it's going to come down to what the category of the tiebreaker is.
Okay. I've got I can tell you the category and then ask you a question.
Okay.
The category is American literature.
Okay.
Could you just chunk that to say just literature?
I mean, I'm okay with saying that there's maybe like an America equivalent, which we talked about. I think it's the Land of Corrin.
Okay.
So I'd be okay with that, and we'll just like hand wave the American part.
Mm-hmm.
As far as literature, I don't know about Android 17 post Cell Saga as far as like what he was doing besides being a forest ranger. But being out in the forest, maybe he took up reading. I don't know. But Mr. Satan, I don't think he's ever like been shown reading anything.
Fair.
So, I mean, that's just kind of a wash between the two. So I think what'll end up giving Mr. Satan the edge here is the fact that he lives fairly comfortably in a home, which you can put bookcases in. So I'm gonna give it to Mr. Satan.
So he might have at least seen the title of some
He
books?
might have at least seen a book, as far as I know. It's I
No,
don't know.
I get it.
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
That's like the knowledge that you sort of like gain just by being around without actually studying it. Yeah. Title of O. Henry's collection of short stories, The 4 Million, refers specifically to this, and that is, what is the population of New York City? That brings us to number 6, Yamcha, versus number 3, Tien.
Oh, I like this matchup.
Who do I want to win? Yamcha. I think I want Yamcha to win. You know, he could use a win. I also think it'd be funny if he, made it maybe further than some people are expecting, and then, like, I don't know, got knocked into a crater.
Well, it'd be very Toriyama for Yamcha to survive past the first round anyway, so.
So, and then who do I think would win? I think again Yamcha. I understand that Tien has like participated in the Tournament of Power, which Yamcha hasn't. But aside from that, their experiences are very similar, and then Yamcha's base of knowledge goes beyond just martial arts and into how the world actually works.
Sure.
Less hermitage.
He started out as a thief, so like he's got a little bit of cunning to him. I think.
So Yamcha. Moving on to the Sweet 16.
You're my boy, Yamcha. That brings us to the last one for this round of this bracket, which would be the number 7 seed Android 16 versus number 15 Launch. This one feels lopsided to me as far as like who would win, because again, Android. Who do I want to win? I want Launch to win. I mean, like let's be real. We all know nobody here is getting past Bulma in this bracket. So let's just have some fun. So yeah, let's roll the dice on that last category and see if she squeaks one out.
Medicine.
Ooh. Nah, she's better at putting holes in people than patching them up. I think 16 takes this one.
Okay. Accounting for 3.9 million visits last year, that would be 1985, people. It's the leading reason for a hospital stay. What is childbirth? We'll move up to the antagonist bracket with your pick.
All right. Let's see. I've got number 1 Frieza versus number 8 Hit. I think they're fairly similar in like being worldly, especially when talking in terms of like the universe as a whole. So I think ultimately what it's going to come down to is who strikes me as being a little bit more learned. And for me, that's going to have to be our Lord and Savior Frieza.
Okay.
I think yeah, I'm moving Frieza on.
All right. I've got number 5 Zamasu versus number 13 Pilaf. I absolutely want Pilaf to win. I could make an argument that he would win, but I do think Zamasu might have the edge there. But so then that would take me to the tiebreaker where I already know the category, but where I think Pilaf is winning because the category is the military.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm moving Pilaf on. And this is with MacArthur and Eisenhower, one of 3 World War II generals who were the only men to ever hold the 5-star rank. And that is who is, and there's 3 choices you could have picked from: Omar Bradley, George Marshall, or Henry Arnold?
I didn't know any of them, so I would have failed that one.
Neither did I.
All right. Next up, we've got number 6, Captain Ginyu, versus number seed 14, Android 19. I kind of want Ginyu to win just because he has more personality. He'd be more fun to watch. But as far as who would actually win, probably Android 19.
Okay, so you're taking it to the tiebreaker.
Got to take it to the tiebreaker. I feel like tiebreakers are going to be a lot of how we decided in the end for these later rounds.
Does the Nobel Prize count?
I feel like that's a little too Earth specific.
Okay. Explorers.
Okay. Yeah,
Boy.
I'm going to have to probably give it to 19 on that one.
Okay. I could have made an argument that you could give it to Ginyu.
You could, but I think it depends on the context of, like, is it explorers, like, in general of the whole universe, or is it just, like, Earth-based explorers?
Yeah. And the answer was president who sent Lewis and Clark to explore the way to the Pacific Ocean, who is Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
That brings me to number 10, Dr. Giro, versus number 15, Garlic Jr. Who do I want to win? I'm going to say I kind of want Giro to win. I dig his... I like when... Like, I dig his design, as in when they knock the hat off and he's got, like, the
brain case there?
Yeah. That might be the deciding factor, frankly, because both characters are a little bit perfunctory.
Sure.
And then who do I think would win? I'm sticking with Giro. Garlic Jr. spent all this time in another dimension, and not the ocean dub other dimension, but rather literally another dimension where he's been locked off from all things, and Giro is he's computer intelligent, all that stuff. So
he's got that dog in him.
Move Giro on. Then that brings us to the deities bracket, where we have number 1 Beerus versus number 9 Mr. Popo. Okay, who do I want to win? I kind of want Mr. Popo to win.
It would be pretty funny.
And who do I think would win? Okay, this is tough, because I could very much make an argument that I think Mr. Popo would win. Beerus, what does Beerus really, really care about? What food is good?
Yeah.
And other than that, he mostly just likes to sleep. Really.
That's a good point.
Occasionally he wakes up and says, oh, that person's, getting too strong, or that person's stepping out of line. Better go and blow up their whole planet. But he's not interested in learning things. Mr. Popo, on the other hand, as Kami's vassal and his right-hand man, and then Dende's vassal and right-hand man, is very learned.
True.
And so I think I'm going to give it to Mr. Popo.
An inspired choice, really.
So move Mr. Popo on to the Sweet 16.
Right on. All right, next up we've got number 12, the Elder Kai, versus number 4, King Kai. Who do I want to win? I want King Kai to win. He's got a little bit more personality, plus his puns are top tier. Who do I think would actually win? I think Elder Kai has the edge because their knowledge bases are similar, but Elder Kai has clearly been around longer than that.
Any current event, though, but...
Ooh, that's true. He was stuck in that Z-Sword for a long time.
Like 1,000 years?
Yeah. Yeah, I think maybe King Kai has this one. I'm going to give it to King Kai.
Okay. Move King Kai on to the Sweet 16. That gives me number 5 Dende versus number 14 Puar. And listen, Poir is the quintessential Cinderella story. We have been pulling for Poir for quite some time. And I still would say I think I kind of want him to win here, but I think Dende is going to win.
Yeah.
Dende not only knows his own customs and his own planet, he I think has an affinity for Earth. He decided to come and be Earth's guardian, and he has been a fairly good one, I guess.
I mean, when your predecessor's, whole philosophy was don't do anything.
When your predecessor almost accidentally destroyed the world that he was the guardian of by giving birth to an evil demon.
Yeah, Garlic Jr. is starting to look a lot better in comparison when we think about that.
So that I'll say Dende would win. So that brings me to the tiebreaker, which I think politicians is a fair category.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that works.
And I think Dende wins it. I don't think Poir knows or cares very much.
You don't think Poir is secretly like a poli-sci hobbyist?
No. Poir shares Yamcha's interests.
Yeah, more than likely.
So I'll move Dende on, and this was total number of former vice presidents still living today. April of 1986. At that time, the answer was 4. And it was
Okay.
Nixon, Agnew, Ford, and Mondale. Who knows what it is right now? Off the top of my head, I don't.
There's a group. Yeesh.
Off the top of my head, I have no idea. But if I was here guessing off the top of my head, like, Dan Quayle is probably still alive, right?
Yeah, Dan Quayle, I'm pretty sure, is still alive.
And
So
then
there's
Al Gore, definitely, and then Dick Cheney is still alive.
Dick Cheney's still alive. Biden's still
and
alive.
Biden's still alive, and Pence is still
Pence
alive,
is still alive.
and Kamala Harris is
Vance.
still alive,
And Vance.
and Vance. So that I don't know how many that was.
That's
6, 7.
And there's probably one that we forgot.
I don't know about living vice presidents because you go back further than the Bush senior presidency, and he was vice president for Reagan, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's not
And
alive anymore.
He passed away.
And you go further back than that, and
It was Carter before Reagan, right?
yeah, I don't know who his vice president
I
was.
have no idea who his vice president was either.
We'll just say he's dead.
But odds are he's probably not with us anymore.
Right.
All right. Enough about politicians. Moving on to our last matchup in this bracket. We've got number 10, King Yemma, versus number 2, Piccolo. Who do I want to win? I mean, it's our boy Piccolo. I kind of want our boy Piccolo to win. I also think that he would win because he has more time to spend on adventures as opposed to doing desk work. So I'm going to give this one to Piccolo.
Okay. That makes sense.
Also, he's not an idiot. Like he's a pretty smart fella.
Yeah. All right, on to the Sweet 16.
Woo!
We have number 16 Tarble versus number 5 Future Trunks.
Vegeta's just loving this right now.
Who do I want to win? I want Future Trunks. Who do I think would win? Potentially Tarble. I think we sussed out that Future Trunks has a somewhat limited
It's
realm
got a bit of a blind spot.
of experience. So that brings us to the tiebreaker, which is gambling.
Oh.
And I think that changes who I had winning this. Because you know who knows a thing or two about gambling? Future Trunks.
What? You don't say.
He knows a thing or two about putting it all on the line for a long shot.
It's pretty solid reasoning right there.
And so I am picking, to my own surprise, Future Trunks to go into the Elite Eight. And the question, or the answer, now this is where this would probably have tripped him up, because this I don't think existed in his time. But next to slots, Nevada casinos make more money from this game than any other. Nearly $750 million in 1985, which I would guess that number is way higher now.
Dang.
What is blackjack?
Oh, man, I would have guessed roulette, honestly. Yeah. Okay, cool. Moving on, we've got number 3, Gohan, versus number 2, Vegeta. And I hate to do this to you, but pretty sure this is a Gohan victory.
Yeah.
But Vegeta will put in a good effort, and he'll still be fine with it because it's his firstborn versus Kakarot's firstborn for all of the knowledge.
Listen, I don't even think, like, you could take this to a tiebreaker, and unless the category was famous Saiyans,
even then he still might not get it. All right. Moving down to the human bracket, I think I have the first choice this time, correct?
Yes.
All right. We've got number 8, Bulma, versus number 13, Mr. Satan. Man, I want Mr. Satan to win so bad, but we absolutely know Bulma's going to win this one. Please hit me with the tiebreaker.
Okay, I don't think we can do the Oscars.
Yeah, it's a little too specific, I think.
I don't think we can do the Americas.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think we can do the Civil War. So that brings us to world geography.
Ooh. Because Mr. Satan's definitely been all over the world.
One of these characters has literally traveled all over the world that we've seen.
Yeah, I know. I just want Mr. Satan to win. Yeah, Bulma's going to take this one.
Capital of this English-speaking country is southernmost national capital in the world. What is New Zealand? And then I have number 6 Yamcha versus number 7 Android 16.
Okay.
And this is a toughie. I want Yamcha. Do I think he would win? No. So I got to take it to the tiebreaker, which is actors and roles.
Ooh.
And let me tell you something. Yamcha is a sports star.
Indeed.
Yamcha also is... We know that he's very, like, obsessed with, like, pretty girls, even though he gets shy around them. Although he kind of broke some of that, but he's... So Yamcha strikes me as someone who's probably pretty into celebrity. And celebrity gossip and things like that. Maybe he's constantly pining after some famous actress.
I could totally see him and Puar like having discussions about the latest happenings in the rumor mill.
And so I think Yamcha wins on that tiebreaker.
What a pull for a tiebreaker.
And Star, who's played Queen Elizabeth twice, as well as Empress of Mexico and Russia, who is Betty Davis. I'm not saying that Yamcha would have known specifically Betty Davis, but having it be a female, certainly, I feel, cinches it even further.
I think that just cements his victory there.
Okay, I have number 1 Frieza versus number 13 Emperor Pilaf. Who do I think would win this? I think Frieza would. I think Pilaf, we've seen Pilaf. He's not a complete idiot entirely. Like, he can build impressive machines and things.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also not the brightest crayon in the box.
Fair.
I want him to win. Real bad, though. For so many reasons. I think that would be hilarious.
Sure.
So, I have to take it to the tiebreaker. And the tiebreaker is holidays. And let me tell you,
wow,
that unless the question is who celebrates National Oppression Day, it's gonna be it's actually gonna be. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I think it's actually gonna be Pilaf winning.
2 major upsets late in the tournament,
and I think that's the pull on that tiebreaker question. Because if it had been, like world geography or something, I think that goes to Frieza. Like, those kinds of categories that we've had in this, art, stuff like that. But holidays is like days off, like.
And the reason it's a little silly, but in my brain, I see it as like Frieza doesn't care about holidays because he doesn't give his people time off to work.
Yeah.
But Pilaf is evil, but also at the same time, I feel like he'd be the type of evil that has like an HR department that's like, no, you got to give these people like these days off. And he would just listen to them.
And then this was ranked number 2 after Christmas. About 850 million greeting cards are sold yearly for this holiday.
Valentine's Day?
It is Valentine's Day. Before looking at the answer, I might have said Mother's Day.
That would have been a solid guess, too. Speaking of solid guesses, so we've got the last matchup for this particular bracket. We got Android 19 versus Dr. Gero. I think I'm going to have to give it to creator over created as far as like who would actually win.
Mm-hmm.
Who I want to win. I also just want Gero to win because Android 19 doesn't have like any personality. It's literally just competing against a computer.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Gero would win that one, so I'm going to move Gero on.
Okay.
Gods and allies now?
Yep.
All right, let's see. We got number 9, Mr. Popo, versus number 4, Mr. King Kai. It's tough for me to pick who I want to win on this one, because I kind of want Mr. Popo, but at the same time, we're supposed to be like ignoring that Mr. Popo exists, right?
Yeah.
And then I love King Kai. He's a great character. So I don't know. Flip a coin and pick one of them, and then I'll just pick the opposite so I can go to a tiebreaker, I guess.
Okay, your tiebreaker is world events.
World events. Ooh. I think King Kai's going to take this one just because, like you said, he's got the whole remote viewing thing. So if anything like noteworthy is happening, you can kind of just assume that he's watching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say he wins with firsthand experience.
Okay. This category or this question, I don't know if it like just got transcribed weird or something, but Muzak has broadcast, bcast words twice. So like Muzak is like it is like the like elevator music basically, right?
Is it? I have no idea what Muzak is.
And it says for the simulcast of We Are the World and the announcement of this January 20th, 1981 event. And that is, what is the release of the Iran hostages?
Okay. Well, that was obscure.
I then have...
You know what, though? King Kai does strike me as the type of person that would be very dialed in on the Iran-Contra situation.
I have number 5, Dende, versus number 2 Piccolo. Now, we all want Piccolo to win this. But I'm thinking again, I'm going with Dende is Kami now. And he's not a dummy.
Also true.
I think I'm picking Dende because, listen, we're all watching Dragon Ball Daima. Piccolo forgot how to speak a language that he was speaking like 8 years ago.
Yeah, not a good look for him.
He also, we all watched Dragon Ball Superhero. He forgot he could grow.
I'm waiting for him to like lose a limb and forget that he can regrow it.
So I'm going to take us to the tiebreaker. And the tiebreaker is flags. And I think that goes Dende's way. I don't think...
Yeah, I guess it would.
I don't think Piccolo is very knowledgeable about, like, the flags of the world. So.
Well, there is one flag that we do know that he knows, and that's the red ribbon flag.
Right, but Dende
yeah,
would know that one also.
He would also know that, and probably more.
And many more. Again, an outdated answer. The 3 objects on the Soviet Union's red national flag.
Hammer, sickle, and star, right?
Hammer, sickle, and star, yes.
Woo.
Okay. That then brings us into the Elite 8. I have in the finals of the Saiyan bracket. Is it me?
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah. And then we'll just do you on, we won't, because we're skipping to the next bracket next time.
Yeah.
I have Tarble versus Gohan. This one's pretty easy. I want Gohan. I think Gohan would win. Or no, I don't have Tarble. I'm sorry. That's what I have written down. But it's Future Trunks versus Gohan. I think I still kind of want Gohan. The more I hear Dragon Ball fans like rag on Gohan, the more I start to feel like I don't know if you guys really get the point of that character. Like he's kind of supposed to be like the way Toriyama sees himself or saw himself.
I have so many thoughts on Gohan. I can't wait to actually do like a deep dive into the character.
As someone with limitless potential, but
no ambition for fighting.
Yes. So I think I like Gohan, and I think he's like, then that's the other thing. He's gonna win. And even if I took it to the tiebreaker, which I'm not gonna, but even if I did, unless the category was like things that happened in bleak dystopian futures,
it's probably not gonna get it. Yeah. All right. So
Gohan wins the Saiyan bracket. Much to the everything falls apart for Vegeta in those last few. He goes from having 3 out of 4 to losing.
Yeah, he's used to it by now. All right, moving on to the human bracket. We are left with the grudge match of the century. We have Bulma versus Yamcha. And given their romantic history, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of insults hurled back and forth on this one. But I want Bulma to win this one, and I'm pretty sure everybody's sure that Bulma's going to win this one. So let's just go ahead and move her on to the final 4.
Okay. Then I have Frieza versus Dr. Gero. Right? No,
I thought you put Pilaf through.
I put Pilaf. I'm sorry.
This man's trying to rewrite history.
I have number 13 Emperor Pilaf versus number 10 Dr. Gero. Now, we all want Emperor Pilaf to win. Every single one of us wants Emperor Pilaf to win. Even like the Z Warriors are in the crowd rooting for Emperor Pilaf because they're like he's harmless. But I think Gero will win. Absolutely. Now, in the news?
In the news. So it's just like current events, basically.
Yeah. That's tough. Because
Yeah, didn't Jiro like seclude himself away?
But he also has spy drones
Mm,
that
that's true.
monitor the
The little,
entire.
the little,
So
the little fly spy drones, right?
yes, so that does mean he missed out. Like, and Vegeta specifically mentions you didn't monitor our battles in space. But you know who else ain't monitoring the battles in space?
Pilaf.
Emperor Pilaf. So I think in the news, I think it has to be Jiro with his army of spy drones feeding him information. So moving Dr. Jiro onto the final four.
All right. That brings us to.
Although this is the actual answer, the actual Jeopardy question and answer.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part.
Although Mount St. Helens provided the Big Bang that year, everyone asked, who shot JR? So what year was that? What is 1980?
Okay. For our last deciding match for the final four, we've got number 4 King Kai versus number 6 Dende. Okay, who do I want to win this? I kind of want King Kai to win this, just because I don't think Bulma's ever met King Kai,
Okay.
but she has met Dende, and I'm kind of curious to see what the reaction there would be. So I kind of want King Kai to win. As for who would win, I still think King Kai's got an edge. That remote viewing's really, really strong.
Okay.
Plus, he's been around way longer than Dende.
Okay. Yeah. I have 3 of the 4 final 4 correct.
Hey, that's not bad. I had none because I only did the first round, because as soon as you mentioned we were going to have a random tiebreaker, I said, well, there's no point in going past the first round.
Yeah, and I just, like I said, I just did it based on like me just going, who do I think is smarter? I think, like, whatever. Who strikes me as smarter? I had Gohan, Jiro, Bulma, and Dende. So
I think we were both kind of headed in the same direction on those ones.
Yeah. So then,
how do you want to do this?
Usually we do each of us picks one, and then the finale we kind of suss out between each other.
Yeah.
I would say, unless you have a grievous disagreement with me.
No, I think these are pretty much exactly what I was thinking.
I just meant when I suss this out, I'd say unless you have a massive disagreement with how I suss out,
sure,
the one that I do. Which now, how do you want to do this? Do you want to pick the first one?
Yeah, I'll pick the first one, I guess.
Okay.
So I have Gohan versus Dr. Gero. This is a pretty good match, I think, because they both have a huge knowledge base. They both have a lot of time in the lore. I want Gohan to win because he's a good guy. I want the good guys to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, in actuality, Jiro might have the edge on him as far as, like, I think there's just certain subjects that he would just know a little bit more than Gohan about.
Okay.
So we're going to have to come down to a tiebreaker on this one.
Okay. It's an interesting one. Diplomacy.
Ooh. 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 Well, I think you'll agree with me on this one. I think Gohan takes this one because diplomacy is a thing that he would much rather do than fighting. And Jiro has no interest in diplomacy, as he worked for an authoritarian regime. So I think Gohan's going to win this one.
I agree. Speaking of this, Secretary of State Dean Rusk said, "We're eyeball to eyeball," and the other fellow just blinked. What is the Cuban Missile Crisis?
That is a banger line.
Okay. So I have Bulma versus King Kai. Who do I want to win? I want Bulma to win.
Sure.
I think we're all kind of pulling for Bulma. She especially I think she makes herself appear very likable on TV when she's in this tournament. I think the world is pulling for Bulma, especially over this weird, creepy bug man.
She's like the no, I don't want to make that joke. It'd probably hurt your feelings.
Are you gonna say she's like Taylor Swift?
No, I was gonna make a joke about how everyone's pulling for her like they pulled for the Bills, but
oh, that did hurt my feelings.
The difference here is that well, I'll wait and see what your logic is here.
Okay, now who would win? That's a toughie because King Kai has that ability to see a lot of the universe, but he has a lot less of that sort of common knowledge, anything technological. It really would depend a lot on the mix of questions, I think.
Sure.
And so, if we're just going with general Dragon Ball universe knowledge, boy, Bulma has a lot of that. She's been on a lot of the adventures over the years.
Absolutely.
I think, okay, she may have, boy, you know what? I was going to say she may have slightly less knowledge of like the sort of politics of the Dragon Ball world in terms of like, in Dragon Ball Super, they end up introducing I think he's like the king of the universe or maybe just the king of the galaxy. He's like that tentacle dude who, every time Goku shakes his hand, he's like, you're touching my penis. He's like, that's not my hand. Those are my genitals, sir.
Well, I mean, Goku, she shares that with him.
But Bulma has learned a lot of that through her friendships with Jocko and Whis. So her knowledge,
I forgot her and Whis were super tight.
Her knowledge base on some of that stuff might be slightly less than King Kai, but then her knowledge base on anything scientific, anything mechanical is going to be so much more than his that I'm giving Bulma the edge on the who would win also, and I'm putting her in the finals.
All right. I'm not going to argue with that. That seems pretty well reasoned in my opinion.
So we have for our finals Bulma versus Gohan. Now this is Vegeta's back in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He had his moment of I guess depression, but now he's rebounded.
Yeah, he is screaming. See that, Kakarot? My wife is going to mop the floor with your son.
Your son can't even beat a woman.
Gohan should go back to training since he can't even beat a woman in a mental fight either.
Oh.
Okay.
All right. I feel like since I picked the first of the last round, do you want to go first and give your reasoning?
Okay, yeah. Who do I want to win? I do think I would prefer Bulma to win. Just a character who's been around for a little bit longer, a character who I think has gotten I think part of the reason why I prefer Bulma is I look at that character and I feel like that is a character that has consistently gotten better. She was a little bit irritating early on when she would constantly like scream at people despite doing a lot of the things that she was screaming at them about, kind of.
Yeah, a little hypocritical, if you will.
Yeah. But she's gotten a lot better about that. She's a lot funnier now. I like how I really love how like she is like Vegeta's into like training with Whis and stuff like stuff like that. Like how she just manages to humble some of these like mightiest warriors in the universe. I find that
she's instrumental in greasing the wheels, if you will.
Yeah. I find that very, very fun and funny, and I think she's continuously gotten better as a character. I also think it's hilarious to use the Dragon Balls to do your plastic surgery for you.
I honestly, genius idea. There's no recovery time. You don't ever have to schedule anything with a doctor, so nobody would ever know. Like, it's just chef's kiss. It's a brilliant move.
Yeah. Who do I think would win? This is a very tough one. These are potentially the two most intelligent characters in Dragon Ball.
True.
Gohan has devoted his life to studying. That's what he does. Although we learn in Super that what he's studying is ants.
I mean, they're pretty cool.
But he wanted to be a scholar. That's his. He's a researcher. Bulma, also a bit of a researcher herself. She built her own time machine. That's pretty impressive.
You know, when you stack it up like that, you're making a pretty convincing argument.
Flip side, you start getting in any questions about physicality, any questions about, ki control, any questions about... has Gohan ever died?
No, I don't think so.
Only towards the end of the Buu saga, and I don't know if he was dead long enough to really learn the workings of the afterlife, per se.
Was he dead, or was he just transported there?
No, remember when when Buu blows up the entire Earth, and Goku only saves...
Oh, yeah.
Goku only saves himself, Vegeta, and Mr. Satan, and Vegeta then berates him. He's like, "You didn't even save your own son!"
Right. Gotcha. Okay.
Still, boy, I feel
what? Like that would be a topic of conversation with his dad, though.
Yeah.
And who's been dead more times than Goku?
Gohan also has been to the world of the Kais.
True.
That's a place that, as far as we know, Bulma has not been. I think I will say that I feel like it might be a toss-up on who would win, but I still think I might give the slight edge to Bulma.
Yeah, I think in terms of breadth of knowledge, I think building a time machine far outstrips studying ants. Like, just when you pointed out those two things, it was like, oh yeah, no, we're talking about completely different ranges of intelligence here. Who do I want to win? I want Bulma to win this one, partially because I feel like this is one of the few topics, I guess, for the tournament that she could actually like win for. I also feel like, especially now that you've pointed out like some of their feats and stuff, I feel like, yeah, I'd have to give the edge to Bulma as far as who would actually win. So I'm just going to straight up say Bulma.
So Bulma wins.
All right.
Now the humans have the edge. They have won 2 of these.
Good for them.
The Beerus about to destroy everyone because the deities have never won. He's got
Really? They haven't? Yeah, I guess they haven't.
No. We've had a Saiyan, a villain, and 2 humans. So...
humans showing off why they're so important in the Dragon Ball universe.
Yeah. That's this year's tournament. I always have fun doing these episodes.
These are always a lot of fun. For me, anyways. And hopefully for the folks listening.
I hope so. And, we had our interview with Dale Kelly. We saved our intro for the second episode of March Madness for that. We just end up cutting these in half, but we saved our intro from Dale for this. And we really appreciate that. I don't know what we're going to do next year. We've done 4 widely disparate things.
How about I had an idea come to me as we were kind of gaming this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
What if we did something that required a lot of patience, like building a model or something like that? Maybe not building a model specifically, because I don't know how you would make that competitive. But something that requires patience, because I feel like that's a trait that we haven't really explored in the other ones.
Potentially, if we could think of a good competition for that, that's not bad. I don't know, like, if you could do any sort of like RPG type of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, possibly.
That's a little more your realm.
There's a lot. There's some possibility there. We could figure that out. That sounds pretty interesting. I'd give that a try.
We could also do like potentially like a Pokemon or Magic the Gathering tournament.
Magic the Gathering would be very funny.
That could be a potentially fun one. So, yeah, if you have any idea, if you're listening out there and you have any ideas, we are all ears.
Oh God, yeah, I'd love to hear some ideas.
I did have people ask at one of the cons I went to this summer if we've ever considered doing a "Who would you do?"
Who would like?
Like who?
Like who would you know biblically?
Yes.
Who
would you lay with?
Oh my. I get maybe we could do something like to kind of play off of that, like maybe who's got the best who spits the best game when picking up potential romantic partners.
Yeah, so yeah, we could potentially do that. Like who would win in a I don't know, like like the dating game?
Oh yeah, okay.
What was that? What was that game? Was it called the dating game? The one where like Bachelor number 2. If you were a drink, what kind of drink would you be? I'd be a sex on the beach.
Yes, I believe that was the dating game.
That could be a fun one.
That would be interesting. How would we make that a bracket, though?
Well, you just do like if you were the last 2 or the only 2.
Oh, I get you. So they're competing for a date with somebody. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, that's. Oh, that would be made for some fun matchups, I'm sure.
That could be a good one. So, Bachelor number 1. If I were, it's always
Bachelor number 2, if my rival got pretty blonde hair and I couldn't dye mine, what should I do? Train it 100 times Earth's gravity.
Who is your celebrity crush? I will crush Kakarot. That's who I'll crush.
I don't care who they are. I'll crush them. Yeah.
Well, who would I crush? I would crush all those filthy monkeys.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's got some potential to go weird places.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? I only drink water.
Oh, nice. Good pull. If we were on a date and you saw a prettier woman at another table, what would you do? Well, I'd switch bodies with her date. Just weird, unhinged stuff.
Oh, that could be fun.
Look forward to the next bracket, y'all.
It sounds like we may have hit on something.
I think we found our topic for next year, yeah.
But we'll keep thinking of it. And if anyone has any questions or any suggestions, we are absolutely open.
Or
always.
If you guys want to get us off this horrible path that we're on, we're open to other things.
Yeah. So yes, that's this year's March Madness tournament, and we appreciate y'all for listening. And if you have any comments, questions, any of those kinds of things, feel free to reach out to us. Make sure you are following us on all the socials. Make sure you're liking us. You are rating and reviewing. Make sure, really, what I'll say for real is please rate and review us on whatever podcast app or podcast catcher you're using. Whether you're on YouTube and just throw a like on our videos, whether you're on Apple Podcasts, just at least throw us the 5-star rating. On Spotify, I think they have the similar idea where you can like rate the show. That just helps us to go further up in the algorithm when people search for stuff, and that helps us gain visibility. Really, really helps us out. But on top of that, or in that vein, I will just say we did get a comment on our super secret movie commentary, where we did a commentary on Dragon Ball Fight Son Goku, Win Son Goku. We had a comment from Mix and Mush, which is a podcast that does hypothetical questions, movies, video games, and goofing, all with the energy of trying to make your friends laugh at the middle school lunch table. They commented, I posted the episode along with an image of Poir smoking. And they commented, this might be the most important image ever captured by mankind.
Hard agree.
And then Soulmass 218, who is actual a friend of mine named Lux. Lux has been on this show, actually. Commented, this is the best live action movie by a wide margin. Did I say good? No. Best? Absolutely.
I fully agree with that assessment.
So
That movie's a fun watch. If you haven't watched it, go watch it and watch our commentary with it. It's a good time. 2 thumbs up.
yes. So let's see. What will be our tournament for next year's March Madness Tenkaichi tournament? Find out next year and help us achieve our final forum.
Final Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kid. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share it with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.